Okay, so welcome to the animation view tutorial. In this tutorial I'll be covering the basics of the animation view, adding keyframes, editing curves and tangents. I'll then move on to covering animation events, and they're very powerful. You can basically add function calls from within the animation clip, so I'll cover those and show you how cool they are. And then finally I'll go on to importing external animation from software like 3D Studio Max or Maya, and so how you can import that animation and edit it within the animation view. Okay, so first things first, let's open up the animation view itself, and I'll just dock that down here. Okay, so this is it. So you have the time along the top here and value along the side here, and if I select an object, you'll notice that all of the components on the object are listed here, basically mirroring the inspector view. So first things first, let's create a new animation clip. I'll call this one bounce, and you'll notice that an animation component has been added to the object, and that's the animation clip we've just created. Okay, so now in the animation view itself we can click here and add curves to the transform, and that will basically start us off with our animation and create a keyframe at its initial position. You'll notice as well that this button has been selected, so when that's on, we're now in animation mode. So the buttons along the top here, they're all in red, just to remind you there. And in this mode you can basically move the objects around and create keyframes. So let's just spool ahead to frame 30. And I'll just move this bunny rabbit up in the air, and you'll notice that a keyframe has been created for that movement. And then finally, what I'll do is I'll copy a keyframe this time from the beginning, and I'll paste that down here. Okay, so now we have a basic animation going on. If I just hit play, we can see that. Great. Okay, and the next thing I should probably go over is navigating around inside the view. So if you use the mouse wheel, that allows you to zoom in and out. Holding down the command key on Mac or Control on Windows allows you to zoom horizontally, and holding down Shift allows you to zoom vertically. Also, you can use the F key to focus like you would normally do in the scene view. So if I select all of the keyframes and press F, it zooms to all of them. If I select just those, it zooms to those, and if there's nothing selected, it zooms to the entire extent of the animation. So that's the basics of navigating around inside the animation view. Next thing I'll cover is the editing of the actual tangents and curves themselves. So let's go ahead and select this keyframe here and right click. So there's a few different options for you here, so let's just cover those now. By default, all of the keys that you create are set to auto. That's just basically the curve will go through the keyframe and out the other side in the most smooth way. This next one is free smooth, and this adds these Bezier handles. So if I grab hold of those, I can adjust the in and the out of the animation by moving those. Flat is a similar version, except it locks everything flat. It's pretty straightforward. And finally we have broken, which allows you to independently move these left and right. So you can get some quite dramatic changes in velocity, which is cool. So I'll just set that back to free smooth and actually flat for now. Okay, then we've got tangents. So you can change how the animation flows in and out of the left and right hand sides of your keyframe. So we've got free, which is what it's set on by default. The next one down is linear, and linear basically tracks a path back to the keyframe before it in a completely straight line. So if you want very linear motion, you can use that one. And then we have constant. Basically constant instantly changes the value at that point in the keyframe. So if you need some dramatic changes, we can do it just like that. So let's just set that back to free. and set this back to flat. Okay, so what I want to do in order to get a nice bounce on this animation, switch that key to broken. Actually, I'll switch this one as well. You can multiply select keys and change them all at once. And then I'll just move this one up and move that one up as well. And okay, that should give a relatively decent bounce. What I'll do as well is switch the wrapping mode of the animation. You can do that just down here. So anyone who's familiar with the animation system in Unity will recognize these. I'll just switch that on to loop, and you'll notice we have these ghost frames that bounce along into the distance. So we'll just hit play now. So we have a constant bouncing animation. Okay, so that's pretty much the basics of the animation view. So what I'll do now is move on to animation events.